Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a behind-the-scenes adventure of our modern world, an adventure unlike any you have experienced before. Today, we will explore the deep and dark corridors of our grand system, where every element of society is not just manufactured, but formatted and honed to fulfill a specific function. This is not just a factory, rather, it is a sophisticated production line for members of society, a place where free will and individuality are melted down and transformed into conformity and consumption. Step inside and prepare to see truths you may have always suspected but could never fully confirm. Here, behind the shiny facades of our so-called civilized world, we will reveal how reality is constructed, how your beliefs are shaped, and how your freedom is carefully regulated by invisible hands. So fasten your seatbelts and keep your eyes open. What you'll discover here could change the way you look at everything. From the news you read, to the products you buy, and even the thoughts you think. Welcome to the Formatting Factory. Let the tour begin. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first stop on our guided tour of the Formatting Factory, the Raw Material Processing Department, or Intake for short. Here, we enthusiastically welcome newly hatched individuals, those adorable lumps of potential, newborn and screaming to be molded. Ah, this is where the real magic begins. Before these little angels can even spell mommy, we've already established our sharp claws around their fragile minds. Each little soul is a blank canvas waiting to be painted in the factory's standardized colors. Yes, let's paint away the curiosity, tone down the individuality, and erase the creativity. We sure don't want anything unique to seep through. It's at this first critical stage that we make sure that none of the children accidentally develop something as troublesome as free thought. Instead, they are introduced directly to the world of structured rhythm and repetitive routines, softening them up for the future monotonous march through life. We give them their first lesson in obedience, long before they can even resist. We not only laugh at their naive notions of free will, but we quickly go through the process of smothering such dangerous thoughts under layers of carefully calibrated conformity. Because who has time for individual dreams when there is an entire industry waiting for their relentless consumption? We load them up from the start with all the right dreams. Bigger and newer toys, digital screens, smartphones, and an endless hunger for more and more passivizing entertainment. From the moment they first open their eyes, these little commodities are not just children. They are future consumers and debt workers, perfectly prepared to be kept in constant motion on our perpetual conveyor belt of consumption. So let's have a round of applause for the intake, where future generations of well-formed consumers get their first taste of the sterile environments of the formatting factory. Imagine how blissfully unaware they are that they have just begun their journey through the labyrinths of the factory, where their free will is slowly but surely being replaced by an irresistible drive to always follow the herd. Now that we've seen how we receive the fresh raw material, let's move on to the next wonderfully efficient department, enrollment. This is where our factory really starts to speed up the formatting process, and the first step to what we like to call education. In preschool, this innocent stage of life, we introduce a delightful mix of basic confusion about gender and an enthusiastic fondness for all things material. Think of preschool as a training camp for future confused consumers. Every young child quickly learns that the world is not only full of exciting colors and shapes, but also of absolute must-haves that they cannot live without. Do you really need that plastic car? Yes, of course you do. And everything else our advertising partners have to offer. And let's not forget the strategic move to separate these toddlers from their parents as early as possible. Thank goodness for modern social reforms that sent mommy into the labor market with a pat on the back and a promise that she is doing the right thing for the factory. Gender equality. While mommy gets the privilege of earning her own money and experiencing the amazing feeling of chasing deadlines for power-crazed bosses with ever-increasing stress levels that eventually need to be medicated to suppress, the child is placed in our carefully designed institutions where the indoctrination can begin without the inconvenient interference of the parents. We set the children's compasses early on to a world where there is confusion about who they should be, how they should act, and what they should want. You can't imagine how much easier it is for management when our products spend all their waking hours trying to fit into our latest social construct. And if they don't fit in, it doesn't matter. Then later in life we can pit different groups against each other instead. The main thing is that they never see the bigger picture of what the factory is actually for, and it is of course important to drill this into them as early as possible in the learning process. Of course, we're quite happy to promote loose concepts like equity, diversity and inclusion, especially as long as we can use it to confuse the children even more and still profit from it at both ends. We even managed to convince our factory workers that it was a good idea to have cross-dressing drag queens read the children's stories at the library. We even had some of them sit on their lap. Our marketing department thought it was a risky move, but very few parents actually protested. And the ones who did, well, we called them racists. Seems like the factory works wonders after all. Through this early indoctrination, we create an initial foundation of consumption and confusion, perfect to facilitate the work of future departments in molding these individuals into society's ideal citizens, eager to buy and perpetually unsure of their identity. What more could you ask for from such a productive little department in our factory? Applause, please. Because preschool has really set the stage for the next acts in this magnificent spectacle of social formatting. So what's next? The Department for Primary Education, where the magic of elementary and primary school blossoms in full glory. Here we take our cognitive formatting to whole new, exciting levels. In this department, we arm the children with valuable lessons like critical thinking is for losers and true heroes. Well, they are the ones who follow the rules without questioning. Extra credit for sitting still and being quiet. In elementary and primary school, standardized tests and national exams are the sharp tools we use to ensure a uniform taste among our future consumers. Think of it as a thick, disgusting sauce poured over each unique mind to ensure that everyone acts, performs, and above all, thinks in exactly the same way. Every student leaves this stage with a basic understanding that conformity is the key to success and that personal aspirations best fit within the framework we have carefully painted. Why is a question we teach them to avoid. This early training regime ensures that we're not bothered by awkward questions about why things are the way they are. Why would we want young thinkers when we can have young repeaters? We like to say that a test result is more than just a number, it is a promise of future compliance. And our teachers? Oh, they're not just educators, they're our most well-formatted factory workers, constantly ensuring that the production of standard thinking never stops. With their help, every classroom becomes a small production line, equipped to mass-produce the ideal citizens who not only accept their place in society, but also exult in their own mediocrity. They simply shouldn't know any better. So when our little tykes march out of elementary and primary school, they are not just ready for the next step in the education system. No, they are shaped, packaged, and labeled. Ready to be sent on to serve the consumer society. With a foundation so firmly cemented in obedience and conformity, how can the future be anything but bright? For the factory, that is. Let's hear it for the primary school, a real hero of our factory that goes above and beyond to keep the wheels of conformity turning. And now, dear spectators, we enter the haven of the pimply-faced teenagers, high school. It is here that the formatting process reaches its peak. In the hands of the high school, the dreams and aspirations of young people are turned into hard currency. Success, dear friends, is not measured here in personal growth or depth of knowledge, but in how many zeros they might add to their future paychecks. It's a simple equation: more zeros, more success. And let's not forget, each zero on the paycheck represents someone else's debt, which in turn greases the economic gears that keep our factory running. We need to create a spirit of competition so that young people believe that they have to compete rather than cooperate. High school is also where we cement the ability to obey without questioning. We introduce concepts like, "This is how it is," because that's what the textbook says. And if you want to succeed, you have to get high grades based on the curriculum. These are lifelong lessons that guarantee that when our students finally step out into the big world, they do so with a relentless commitment to primarily line their own pockets and to maintain the status quo. No nonsense about personal, intellectual, and spiritual development here. Our teachers here are not just educators, rather they are conductors leading the symphony of assenting nods and yay-sayers. They are experts at painting over doubt and curiosity with broad brushstrokes of conformity and acceptance. At this point, the schooling actually becomes self-perpetuating, as those who are their teachers possess the highest form of cognitive formatting. Having gone through the entire formatting process themselves, they will mold the students into the same image. Practical. Each lesson becomes like a carefully choreographed dance where students learn the right steps to success. Steps which, surprisingly, always lead back to the factory doors. The high school curriculum is a masterful blend of system-sustaining knowledge and subtle indoctrination, so that when our students move on, they do so equipped with everything they need to be productive, consuming, and above all, obedient citizens of our society. So let's give a warm round of applause to the high school, this crucial station in our factory that pumps out not just future workers, but future pillars that we have so carefully constructed. And now we make our way to the very last step of our educational staircase, the intellectual arena, where the final polishing of our future pillars of society takes place. Welcome to the Department of Higher Learning, the university. That venerable stage for educated idiots where we cement the accepted truths with an almost religious fervor. On the surface, we appear to encourage debate and critical thinking. We pretend to encourage our students to question and explore, but beware, dear audience, it is mostly just theater. Behind the scenes, we are merely reinforcing the foundations of the system with such skill that even our students think they are about to revolutionize the world. In reality, they're stuck in an echo chamber of accepted views, and just diligent little workers themselves, spinning the very web that will keep them trapped for the rest of their lives. And wait, there's more. We're casting our students in the perfect polarizing roles. While they seem to engage in fiery debates about social issues, gender roles, xenophobia, and environmental policy, these issues are often just smokescreens. These debates make them feel enlightened and engaged, while in reality, they are just playing to the notes we have so carefully composed. But they're just distractions designed to keep them busy so they don't see the real mechanisms behind the curtain. Pay no attention to the little man behind the curtain. Every student has probably read The Wizard of Oz at some point, but very few has actually understood it clearly. In the corridors and lecture halls of higher education, well-dressed academics are pumped out, ready to put their knowledge into practice without ever questioning the very foundations of their education. We produce the perfect examples of educated idiots, brilliant at regurgitating information without really understanding its deeper context. So, a resounding round of applause to the university, the factory of higher education, where we manage to package conformity and obedience as freedom and independent thinking. It is here that we truly ensure that our future leaders, teachers, and policymakers go out into the world fully prepared to uphold and spread the ideology of the system, dressed in the shimmering cloak of false consciousness. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and enter the circus of the so-called grown-up life. Welcome to the Department of Labor. Here they say that work gives you freedom, but let's be honest, it mostly just gives you more debt and less independence. This is the place where we ultimately mold our well-formatted, college-educated individuals into full-fledged debt slaves. In this department, critical thinking is as rare as a manager who is actually passionate about something other than himself. Instead of commitment to societal development, such thinking is replaced by endless deadlines and constant follow-ups. We have created a working environment where the only right way to show loyalty and ambition is to work overtime on meaningless tasks, preferably forgetting that there is a life outside the office. But let's not forget the beauty of money. Money is really debt. And the more you borrow to maintain the lifestyle we've convinced you that you deserve, the richer our friends at the banks get, at your expense, of course. Every credit agreement, every loan for a new house, a new car, or perhaps a well-deserved vacation is just another way to ensure that you'll continue to spin the wheel of despair until retirement. If you don't collapse, go on sick leave, lose your insurance, and become homeless first. But the workplace is more than just a place to perform meaningless tasks. It's a circus ring where the illusion of progress and development is maintained. Every timesheet, every meeting, every unpaid hour of overtime only confirms your role as an incredibly important cog in this gigantic economic machine. That's what we want you to think, but we know that the factory is actually driven by perpetual debt and consumption. So give it up for the Department of Labor, the place where the freedom to choose is just that, a freedom, as long as your choice is in line with what the system demands. Here you are molded not only into a model citizen, but also into a faithful servant of the economic system that rests heavily on your shoulders. Does work really bring freedom or a lifetime of obligations? You won't be able to tell the difference. Just think what a wonderfully efficient factory we have built. Welcome to perhaps the most colorful and entertaining section of our factory, the Department of Media Brainwashing. This is where the magic of shaping public perceptions really shines through. A constant stream of distractions and directives from morning to night ensures that no one really has time to think about important things, like why they're stuck in a squirrel wheel they can't get off. Forget the boring, critical thoughts that might pop up from time to time, especially those that encourage contemplation and self-reflection. Here, in our wonderful media world, it's reality shows and sensationalist journalism that counts. Why bother with corruption or environmental degradation when you can immerse yourself in the latest celebrity scandal or see which TV star was voted out yesterday? Our media division is adept at keeping audiences engaged with digestible entertainment and over-dramatized news stories. It's about keeping ratings up, engagement alive, and, most of all, making sure the big issues never get too much attention. Why allow time for reflection when we can instead feed a constant stream of distractions? And let's not forget how well this complements our other departments. While the workplace and school pump out well-formatted citizens, we make sure that once they get home, they don't get the urge to start thinking. TVs and digital screens are our best tools to keep them calm, entertained, and above all, controlled. Let's hear it for the media brainwashing department. A vital part of our factory where we turn potentially problematic thoughts into a perpetual flow of commercially profitable and ideologically safe entertainment. Thanks to this department, our society sleeps well at night, dreaming about trivialities instead of worrying about tomorrow. And even when they're awake, they're still asleep. And that's the way we want them. Step right up and enjoy the circus in our next spectacular department, entertainment and sport. This department sits right beside our media brainwashing, ensuring that no one, and I mean no one, has a quiet moment to reflect. Are you starting to question the news? We certainly don't want that. So why spend time brooding when you can be filled with endless hours of sport and entertainment? In this wonderful section of our factory, we pump out sporting events and entertainment programs that are so addictive they could make a professor of philosophy forget all about his books. Sports stars are not just idols on the field, they're also moral role models, perfectly molded to project an image of health, happiness, and hard work. But keep them away from airing their own thoughts. We don't want them to disrupt our carefully calculated game plans with something as uncomfortable as an inappropriate opinion on something important. Our skillful management ensures that these stars always appear in the best possible light unless they step into the dark world of critical statements. Then they quickly become less visible. We in entertainment and sport know that their real value lies in their ability to distract, entertain, and maintain the status quo, not in provoking thought or inspiring social change. Except, of course, when we need them to do it for us. So every time you sit down to watch a match or follow a TV series, remember that you are enjoying the product of one of our most effective departments. Thanks to them, you can relax and forget about the real problems of the world, or at least for the hours that the game lasts. So make sure to fall asleep in front of the TV. Let's hear it for entertainment and sport. The factory's most effective tool for keeping the masses blissfully unaware and fantastically entertained. And most of all, preoccupied. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're approaching one of the most critical departments in our factory, the over-sexualization department. Here is where we really put the focus on the most primal human urges. Our mission? To ensure that no energy is wasted on such boring things as social change or personal development. Why strive for improvement when you can revel in superficial pleasure? More skin, less substance. It's not just our motto. It's a rule of life that we eagerly inculcate into everyone's consciousness through our media channels, advertising campaigns, and the entertainment industry. Every movie, every music video, every commercial is a carefully constructed display of our commitment to keeping society fixated on the superficial and sensual. In this department, we deliberately play on sexual stimulation to draw attention away from the issues that really matter. It's a strategy that works frighteningly well. While the population is distracted by sexually charged images and messages, important political and economic decisions float by almost unnoticed. But we do more than just distract. By constantly flooding our senses with sexualized content, we are creating a culture in which deeper relationships and meaningful human interactions are displaced in favor of superficial physical attraction. This facilitates a world where consumption and appearance go hand in hand, where each person is judged by their ability to emulate ideals rather than their character or intelligence. The role of over-sexualization also extends to undermining the stable structures represented by the nuclear family and deeper spiritual bonds. By constantly feeding society with ideals of physical perfection, romantic escapades, and pornography, we create an unattainable standard that places unreasonable expectations on relationships. This constant search for a new, more exciting partner leads to increased divorce rates and a questioning of the value of the nuclear family. By portraying the nuclear family as outdated and restrictive, we ensure that individuals feel more attracted to chasing individual pleasures rather than building long-term and deep-rooted communities. A fragmented society with fleeting relationships is one where the consumption-driven norms of the system are more easily maintained, as individuals seek affirmation and happiness in material things and superficial relationships rather than in intellectual development or deeper spiritual connections. Stable home conditions and a strong spirituality would make people less dependent on the consumption-driven solutions we offer and more resilient to the distractions we use to keep them in check. Therefore, it is of utmost importance for the factory to counteract these structures at all costs. If the foundations of the factory start to shake due to fluctuations in society, this is one of the places where we try to shift production into a higher gear, which usually has a dampening effect on the vibrations. So a big round of applause for our amazing red shimmering over-sexualization department, the last bastion for control of the primal instincts of the population and one of our most dangerous weapons. Now that we've familiarized ourselves with the many aspects of our formatting factory, let's not forget one of the most essential and profitable departments, the Insatiability department. Here, our mission is simple but crucial: to ensure the constant pursuit of pleasure in excess, especially through what we put into our mouths. In this department, food doesn't just stand for nutrition. It's a source of endless pleasure and satisfaction, carefully engineered to keep consumers constantly hungry for more. We're not just talking about satiated hunger, but a constant craving that can never be satisfied. And this is where sugar plays a key role. It's our golden nugget, the magic ingredient that makes the taste buds cheer, the brain beg for more, and the body go into an endless loop of cravings. We also have an extensive collaboration with the entertainment department to stimulate those cravings a little extra. But wait, it gets better. We're also pioneers of the vegan future. Vegan diets are the future, we shout, ignoring little details like the fact that the human body may not be able to absorb all plant-based protein efficiently. But for us, it absolutely doesn't matter. What matters is the image of health and sustainability, which we paint with broad brushstrokes, while adding cheaper, less nutritious alternatives that keep costs down and profit margins high. Every new food option we create is not designed to be nutritious enough to satisfy the body's needs. It is designed to be tempting enough to be impossible to turn down. We exploit the deep human desire for taste, novelty, and above all, abundance. From super-sweetened drinks to low-fat snacks that actually have more sugar than their high-fat counterparts, each product is a carefully constructed part of our bigger game. So, let's celebrate the Department of Insatiability, a triumph in the art of creating a perpetual cycle of consumption and cravings. Who cares about real nutritional satiation when one can have endless pleasure instead? In our world, more is always better, and the satisfaction from what you eat is just a bite away, a bite that never quite provides all you need, but always just enough to keep you coming back for more. After making sure that our consumers are constantly fighting an endless appetite, thanks to the Insatiability department, it's time to get acquainted with the next critical department of our formatting factory, the Department of Medicare. Definitely not to be confused with the healthcare department, which we have closed down due to lack of profits. This is where our business model shines brighter than ever, as we ensure that the side effects of food intake are not only problematic, but also profitable. By feeding the consuming masses a diet rich in processed foods, sugar, and insufficient nutrition, we ensure a steady stream of customers to the healthcare system. Every bag of candy and every sugar bomb drink sold is not only a sales success, but also a future patient in the making. It's a perfect storm. While one department fills our wallets by selling junk food, another fills our wallets by selling solutions to the problems that food creates. There's no question of losing on the swings and making up for it on the merry-go-rounds. Here we profit from all the attractions. Here at the Department of Medicare, we don't specialize in preventing disease or promoting real health. No, our focus is on treating the symptoms that our society creates. High blood pressure, diabetes, heart problems? Don't worry. We have a pill for everything. Every disease that can be linked to diet is not a public health crisis. It's a business opportunity. You're not sick? No problem. Then we have a syringe with unclear content for preventive purposes. And let's not forget the wonderful world of prescription medication. The need for constant medication creates a reliable, recurring income stream. Our medicines are designed to keep you alive, yes, but not necessarily truly living or healthy. It is in this wonderful gray area between illness and disease that our profit margin thrives. By keeping the population on a perfectly balanced border where they are healthy enough to keep working and consuming, but sick enough to constantly need medication, we ensure that both the food and pharmaceutical industries never dry up. So let's not get lost in fantasies about cures. Cures? No. By all means, a healthy customer is a lost customer. At the heart of our factory's philosophy lies the undeniable truth that real health would undermine our entire ecosystem of endless consumption and control. Why would we want to cure someone when their continuous illness not only ensures a constant demand for our products, but also sustains the ongoing economic engine that drives both the food and pharmaceutical industries? In this strategic department, we ensure that treatments are just that, treatments, not solutions. Our medicines are masterpieces of science, carefully calibrated to relieve your symptoms without ever completely eradicating the root of the problem. It's a delicate dance around the symptoms of the disease, where each step is choreographed to keep you coming back to the pharmacy month after month, year after year. This endless cycle of over-medication isn't just good for business, it's essential. Think of the broad implications if people actually started getting healthy, completely healthy. They would be able to think more clearly, maybe even start questioning other parts of our factory. They would have more energy they might not choose to spend in the workplace or in shopping centers. No, keeping them in a state of chronic, manageable illness, just at the limit of what they can handle, is much more desirable. To deepen our understanding of this business model, we must not forget what could be considered the crown jewel of our system, when the medicines intended to treat a symptom in turn create new symptoms. This is not an accident, ladies and gentlemen. It is a brilliant business strategy, a real win-win-win situation. Think about it. Every time a drug relieves one condition but at the same time introduces a new one, it opens the door to an endless cycle of consumption. The first drug may effectively reduce your initial symptoms, but its side effects, ranging from headaches to digestive problems, give you reason to seek further medical help. And what is there to help? Well, another drug designed to take care of the new problems, which in turn can cause further side effects, and the cycle continues. This is where we see the real genius of our Medicare system. For every new symptom, whether a direct consequence of a disease or a side effect from a medicine, we have a new product ready to be marketed. And each product is not just a solution, it is also a potential creator of additional needs. This keeps our customers tied to a perpetual dependence on our care, not just to get relief, but to deal with the endless complications of their pre-existing treatments. This is true entrepreneurship. So, let's celebrate the ceaseless creativity of the Medicare department, where we never actually cure anything, but rather effectively and constantly nurture disease and illness. Applause for our endless cycle of care, where the real profit never lies in health, but in the ever-growing needs of our never fully cured customers. Thanks to them, we can ensure that every calorie is not only counted, but also paid for. First in the food market, and then in the pharmacy. It is the cycle of life, disease, and capital that keeps our factory, and indeed all of society, in constant motion. Welcome to one of the most influential and invisible departments in our formatting factory, the Technology and Digital Formatting Department. Here, the digital landscape is our playing field, where we use the subtle power of technology to shape, direct, and determine societal norms and individual behaviors. In this high-tech world, algorithms are kings. They control what you see, hear, and ultimately believe. By tailoring each user's experience, we create a world of echo chambers where conflicting opinions are rare and the general consensus is never questioned. Every click, every swipe helps build a digital bubble that envelops you in comfortable consensus. In this department, we use advanced algorithms to filter and present information that reinforces and confirms your existing beliefs. This creates a safe and affirming environment where you can thrive without being disturbed by doubts or conflicting perspectives. Information that could challenge or expand your view of the world is filtered out, ensuring that every single person in the community remains within the framework we have set up. As you bathe in the flow of affirmative messages, your beliefs grow stronger without being tested by counter-arguments. This is fundamental to maintaining a homogeneous consumer base and a society where big changes are difficult to implement because everyone believes in and follows the same limited truths. Not only does this technology allow for social and political control, it is also extremely valuable for marketing. By understanding and tapping into your deepest fears and desires, our business partners can tailor ads so effectively that you will believe every product you see is a necessity, not a choice. This boosts consumption and drives our economic engine with unprecedented efficiency. With advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning, we continue to improve our algorithms' ability to predict and manipulate your choices. Soon, you won't just accept the choices presented to you, you will believe you wanted them in the first place. So, applaud the Department of Technology and Digital Formatting, a true master of the invisible game of social control. While you enjoy your customized digital world, remember, in every device, behind every screen, we don't just control the technology, we shape your reality. Welcome to one of the biggest cornerstones of our formatting factory, where the intersection of law and politics is not just an intersection, it's a multi-lane highway of bureaucratic brilliance. We proudly present the Department of Bureaucratic Credibility, the department where the complexity of regulations and political theater unite to create the illusion of democratic fairness and organized efficiency. In this illustrious department, laws are formulated that are so ingeniously complex and comprehensive that no ordinary citizen can ever hope to fully understand them. It is here that we write the rules that seem to promote the good of the people, but in reality are carefully calibrated to protect and expand the interests of the factory. The laws are our factory rules, disguised as social contracts, making them perfect tools for maintaining control over the masses under the guise of justice and equality. The department excels at using politics as a skillfully staged theater to underpin the credibility of the laws. Political campaigns and elections are staged spectacles designed to give the illusion of choice and influence. Every political maneuver is carefully choreographed, while the real important decisions are made behind closed doors by those who know what really is best, for the factory, of course. But bureaucracy is not just a function, it is also a weapon. With its labyrinthine hierarchies, endless paperwork and bureaucratic language, we make sure that any attempt to change or challenge the system gets stuck in a quicksand of procedures and paperwork. This thick fog of bureaucracy ensures that if real ideas for change are actually born, they are slowly and painfully suffocated by regulations and guidelines before they can ever take a real breath. In the Department of Bureaucratic Credibility, we use the legal system as both shield and sword. On the one hand, it defends the actions of the factory and legitimizes our visible power structure, while the real power remains invisible. On the other hand, it serves as a disciplinary tool to punish those who disrupt the order of the factory. By maintaining a strict and literal application of the law, no matter how unjust or disproportionate, we cement a culture of submission and acceptance. The laws and regulations are, of course, written in a way that puts pressure on the population, while at the same time acting as a shield of protection for our factory management and our ownership interests. The rules of the factory are designed to work in our favor against the population, not the other way around, like we pretend. It's quite incredible that they still haven't figured that one out, not even after everyone went to the movies and watched The Matrix.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
The world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. Whatever could he have meant? Well, I guess most people didn't get it, just like with the Wizard of Oz. Oh well, back to the presentation. This department is not only a cornerstone of our factory, it also sits alongside our political puppets, where the threads of law and the stage of politics form a theatre in which the illusion of freedom and government of the people is maintained. So, a resounding round of applause for the Department of Bureaucratic Credibility, where reality is never, ever exposed and credibility is carefully constructed so that no one sees what goes on behind the scenes. Next up is one of the most critical departments in our amazing formatting factory, the Department of Historical Distortion. This is where the true art of rewriting history is painstakingly carried out, not by the so-called winners of historical events, but by those who actually own the pen, those who control the narrative. In this shadowy part of our factory, we work diligently to ensure that every event, every era, and every significant figure is portrayed in a way that favors the interests that control the factory. It's a subtle but incredibly powerful process in which facts can be twisted, turned, added, and sometimes completely forgotten to fit a convenient, easily digestible narrative. Has an inconvenient historical event occurred that doesn't quite fit the factory's current agenda? No problem. With a few well-directed changes and creative rephrasing, even the most inconvenient facts can be turned into heroic stories or tragic warnings that reinforce our current power structure.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
Every textbook, every documentary, and every museum is carefully curated to ensure that the public only gets an approved version of the truth. Here we operate under the motto, "He who controls the past, controls the future." By controlling the perception of what has been, we also shape people's expectations and perceptions of what should and can be. It's a powerful form of magic, rewriting history, ensuring that no pesky facts or emerging historical truths threaten to destabilize the order we so carefully maintain. So next time you read a history book, look a little closer. Who published it? Whose interests does the story you are consuming serve? Does it even make sense? Maybe you'll begin to sense the cracks in the facade, the small inconsistencies that reveal much larger truths. Or maybe you won't. Because maybe it's easier to just swallow the story as it's told and get on with your day without thinking too much about it. Because in the end, that's exactly how we want it. Simple, convenient, and without too much thinking for yourself. What would happen if more people started questioning history? Well, that's a situation we'd rather avoid. So let's carry on as usual, with pen in hand and a firm grip on the pages of history. Let's hear it for the distortion of history, an absolutely vital component of our factory, the Swiss Army knife for distorting your perception of reality. He who does not even understand that he is trapped will never try to escape. And now, my friends, an absolutely crucial element of our magnificent formatting factory, the Dissident Management Department. Here we have the intelligence services, our faithful guardians of order, the true masters of the shadow, experts in keeping the wheels of the factory greased and its corridors safe from disruptive elements. With an arsenal of techniques ranging from mass surveillance to subversive actions, these wardens are always awake, always present. In this digital era, intelligence agencies have been given unprecedented opportunities to monitor, map, and manipulate. Social media is not just a platform to share pictures of your dinner or your cats. No, it is a sophisticated data collection network. Every like, every share, every naively posted opinion becomes part of your digital profile, carefully analyzed to anticipate and guide your next move. Phone tapping? Of course, but not in the old-fashioned way. Now we're talking about advanced algorithm-driven interception that can pick up on keywords and emotional swings, all to better understand and thus better control the masses. These technologies are extremely effective in identifying deviant individuals, meaning those poor souls who've become a little too aware of their surroundings and try to break their cognitive shackles, the same shackles that bind them to our production line. Big mistake. If by chance somebody actually does break free from the factory's formatting clutches, rampant with independent thought, they are dealt with in other ways. Maybe they become the target of a random smear campaign. Maybe their digital life suddenly becomes fraught with complications. Or maybe their financial resources mysteriously begin to dwindle. It's all done discreetly but effectively to ensure that no one gets the idea that the big factory, our system, is anything other than a blessing. Of course, there have been instances where some of the more prominent factory workers managed to hide their independent thoughts from us and then decided to take a stance against management. Needless to say, examples had to be made. So let us pay tribute to those steadfast guardians, the intelligence services who work in secret to ensure that the order of the factory is never questioned. In their capable hands, our secrets, our freedoms, and our lives are nothing more than tools used to maintain the order that has made our system so successful. Applause, ladies and gentlemen, for these masters of manipulation and control, the true unsung heroes of the factory. Without them, our system, this fantastic clockwork of social engineering, could never work. Welcome to the next critical station in our formatting factory, the Department of Monopoly of Violence. Here we ensure that the power and rules of the factory are upheld not only by laws and regulations, but also by the exclusive right to use physical force. This department is the factory's last line of defense, the one that guarantees that no internal disturbances or external threats can undermine our well-oiled machine. In this department, we control all aspects of physical violence within society, from police interventions to military operations. This monopoly on violence is not just a technical necessity, it is a psychological pillar that maintains order through a combination of fear, respect, and deterrence. Our monopoly on violence ensures that only the state, or rather, the factory, has the right to use or threaten violence, ensuring stable control over the population. The police and security forces are not only there to protect citizens from crime, they're also there to enforce the rules of the factory and maintain the status quo. Through strategic deployment and presence in all layers of society, we ensure that laws are respected and that any deviations are dealt with quickly and effectively. This presence is visible on the streets, in schools, in workplaces, and even online, where digital surveillance is as powerful as physical patrols. To legitimize this monopoly on violence, we instill a culture where the use of violence by the state is seen as both necessary and morally justified. Through the media, popular culture, and official statements, our security forces are portrayed as heroes standing on the front line against chaos and lawlessness. This narrative helps build and maintain public support for the monopoly of violence, even when it is used to suppress legitimate protests, silence any real opposition, or when it becomes necessary to invade new lands to control additional natural resources that the factory needs for its survival. We also ensure that armed forces and intelligence services strictly follow factory directives, and that their loyalties lie with the factory management rather than with the people. By keeping these units well-funded, well-equipped, and ideologically synchronized, we ensure that they are always ready to act against threats, both from within and from the outside. The Department of Monopoly of Violence is therefore not only a guarantee of internal security, but also a crucial factor in maintaining the existing social order. It plays a key role in maintaining the balance of power that keeps the formatting factory functioning without unnecessary interruptions. Applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this department, which so ably performs its role as protector, punisher, and war machine. Last, but certainly not least, we present the magnificent management board, those who actually hold all the puppet strings in our formatting factory. Here sits the elite, the so-called deep state, the hand that rocks the cradle. Here we find the fine gentlemen and ladies who happen to have the most private boxes in our ever-spinning circus. They are not just the figures at the helm. They are the architects of every mechanism on which you, dear factory workers, so obediently depend. The management is not just a group of high-ranking executives. No, they are the noble protectors of the sacred interests of ownership. These visionaries oversee and fine-tune the factory's processes with a precision that would make a Swiss watch mechanism look like a clunky toy. Every decision, so subtle and deliberate, is made with the ultimate goal in mind: to maximize efficiency in the production of well-formed, consuming, and never-questioning citizens. Management has a simple, unassailable philosophy: if it ain't broke, make it more profitable. They are masters at dressing old junk in new clothes and selling it to the masses as the latest innovation. Under their watchful eyes, every new initiative is a masked attempt to further deepen the factory's roots into the heart and wallet of society. while the rest of us mere mortals struggle with such banal matters as morality and ethics. The management floats gracefully above such trivialities. They are too busy juggling stock options and tax havens to be bothered by such prosaic concerns as corporate social responsibility or sustainability. In their world, sustainability is just the interval between two financial depressions. Let's not underestimate their creativity and social manipulation. The management are the ones who inventively craft the strategies of the future to keep the wheels of the factory greased with the obedience and confusion of society. They are the poets of policies and legal texts written in such a code that no one without a business school professorship and a Rosetta Stone can decipher them. So, a final and most impressive round of applause for the executive board, both the self-serving brain and the moral philosophical freezer of our beloved formatting factory. Where others see problems, they see opportunities. Where others see freedom, they see markets. They are not just part of the machine. They are its creators, maintainers, and eternal defenders. Everything is done for the survival of the factory, for their own gain. And to its simple cogs, that is all of you, they are completely indifferent. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a tour of our amazing formatting factory, from the innocent schooling to the sophisticated intelligence services and all the way up to the management board. You have witnessed how we skillfully shape individuals into perfectly adapted consumers, cogs in the great machine that keeps our social factory in perpetual motion. So ask yourself, are you really free? Or are you just free to choose which color of chains you prefer? In our factory, where every step of the process ensures that you never think too much, never ask too much, and above all, never challenge too much, freedom is just another word for orderly obedience. Thank you for participating in this enlightening tour. Now go out into the world with this new knowledge, and remember, if you ever feel rebellious, think of all you would lose. Maybe an extra hour on Facebook, a new reality TV show, or another meaningless shopping spree will quell those disturbing thoughts of freedom and change. Or maybe, just maybe, you'll start to question the factory that has shaped you for so long. Sleep well, citizens, because the next shift starts soon, and the factory never rests.